one thing that I'm really concerned about, like, I know that there is no short term for the Yazidis except that we Yazidi contribute to our community, helping our community by making friendship, asking for help at the moment because there are no other solutions on the ground. But at the same time, like, there are so many countries that recognize the Yazidi genocide. Like, do you feel that there will be like some kind of like formal recognition, like the Jewish Holocaust, like in long term in future, or you just feel like they're passing this resolution showing empathy with the Yazidis, that small minority has been persecuted. It's just like that, or there will be like solution or recognition, formal recognition in future.
I am not optimistic. I'm not optimistic about a good recovery in Shingal. Some people will go back. A lot of people have gone back. Maybe most of the 200,000 will go back. So you would have another genocide knocked down from 500,000. Now you're down to 200,000. Maybe there will be another one. They'll go back because they don't have any choices. It's the tent or go back. One of my translators who worked 2 years for me, he's waiting with IOM to get to America, he's given up. They went back last month.
Yeah.
They went back. Some will go back because it's the only solution out of the bad solutions. They'll start shops, they'll start growing, they'll raise sheep. Life won't be as prosperous as it once was, but a little bit of life will come back. There is life coming back in Shangal. It's still dangerous because of conflict, mines in the fields, the politics, Iraqi politics have really broken down. So it's still not a good environment. But in terms of a full recovery of the community as it was, I'm not optimistic. After World War II, Jewish community all left, and they were transported to what became the new Israel. They left Iraq. I was told last week, someone told me, I didn't know this, that when they had their passports and were stamped, it was leave and don't return. So I don't know if they left willingly or they were kicked out, but they left and couldn't come back. All the Yazidis I know, I won't say all, let's say 80%, maybe it's 95%, but I'll say 80% want to leave. If they could leave today, they would leave. They'd be on the plane in the morning.
Yeah.
Mostly elderly don't want to leave. They don't want to start over. They want to save the land for your generation. They said somebody's got to stay behind and save the land. So they see that as their role, to save the land. But most of them want to leave. Now, for your listeners to understand this, they need to understand that most of the Kurds want to leave, and most of the Sunni Arabs want to leave, and most of the Shia Arabs want to leave. In fact, everyone wants to leave Iraq because Iraq is still going downhill. It's not got a clear or good future. You know, I have my own bizarre idea for what should happen to Iraq. And I know it sounds really, really out in left field and really crazy. And people say, Amy Beam is just crazy. It's bizarre. But if you think it through, I think maybe it's a path in the future. I think Iraq could become the first corporate state in the world. What's in Iraq? Oil. Who wants to be in Iraq? Oil companies. Why don't you say, look, you can buy it, you can have it. Pay every single person $250,000 and say, get out, goodbye, leave. Believe me, everyone would pick up the money and leave.
Yeah.
The problem is the other countries won't let them in. If the other countries would absorb the population of Iraq, 40 million people would be gone by the end of the year. And who would run the country? The oil companies, oil executives. That's what all those high-rise condos were built for in Erbil. When I went in 2015, they were $1 million condos, $1 and $2 million high-rise. Nothing fancy, just high-rise, very expensive. I said, oh, this is built for the oil executives who are going to steal the wealth out of Iraq. When they were doing all their contracts, when they were in the military occupying Iraq, they all invested in these oil companies and they all thought they'd get rich. They didn't know that Iraq was going to get worse and worse. they lost their money. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of oil executives and oil companies withdrew and they've lost their money. Those condos sat idle and empty, not selling. But that's my idea. Who would vote? Who would have rights to vote? If it's a corporation, then the shareholders would be the voters. However much share you bought of Iraq, you vote, run it as a corporation. Let's face it, the countries in the world are now run by corporations.
Yeah.
They just don't go out and say it. But you don't think that Exxon runs America? Exxon and Amazon and Facebook, they are running America.
Yeah.
We vote, but what difference does it make, our vote? Because the votes in Congress, the congressmen are all paid for. It's not just Baghdad that has corruption.
Everywhere.
The U.S. has corruption. Every country now has corruption. The corporations have become too powerful. We're losing our democracy in every country in the world. We're losing democracy. We're losing free speech. We're losing democracies. The corporations have taken over. And I said, good. I think that though my idea sounds crazy, you, maybe not me, but you will probably live to see the day when we have corporate states. Do you know that it was... pretty sure it was Zuckerberg, Facebook. I'm pretty sure. Maybe it was Elon Musk. One of the wealthy billionaires in the world applied to the World Health Organization to become a member. Now, the only members in the World Health Organization are countries, states, legal states. Now, did they laugh at him and said, you're joking? You got to be kidding. You're just a person. You're not a country. No, they voted on whether they should let him be a member.
And he got it?
No, he didn't get it, but it came close. But that's how much wealth and power he has, that one person who controls this huge corporation that's controlling all our lives in the world can dare to think that he has the power of a country. This is the future we're facing.
And I think that future, it will be hard for a minority like Yazidis who are in the camp. We still have 2,000 women and children are missing. Like they said that right. ISIS is gone, but like where are like 2,000 Yazidi women and children? So basically facing a lot of corruption in Iraq that's going on, and Yazidis are just paying like too much price for that, even though they are not part of Iraq. Like Yazidis are not considered as a normal Iraqi citizens. They were never considered as a citizens, and we like, I remember just like back in like 15-20 years ago, like Yazidis they wouldn't even let a Yazidi to be a judge or to be like a high officer in the army. So Yazidi have been facing all this discrimination in Iraq all the time, and there are no any political solution for the Yazidis because like there are no interest in the Yazidis. And the whole thing in Iraq is under the corruption, under the control of other countries. In your opinion, like what's going to happen to Yazidis in future?
I think most of the people in the camps will end up going back, not because they want to, but because
to Sinjar,
it's a little better than the camp, than the tents. If they can just get a little way to have a livelihood, they will go back. Like farm vegetables and grow their vegetables, or get 10 sheep and then it's 100 sheep. If they can find a way, they'll go back in order to get out of the tent, even though they want to leave. So all the people I talk to, even the ones who went back, are still trying to leave, but they just can't tolerate the tents anymore. Every week I'm talking to people who went back, and they're taking a big risk because they're not sure how they're going to eat. I think that's going to be what happens. I talked to someone yesterday where she's on a list for asylum. We've got a short list of 15 people with very, very hard stories to get asylum in France, and we're waiting on the process of visas. She's crying and saying, I've been waiting 2 years. I said, yeah, some people have been waiting 10 years. And her brother and sister, who are younger, refused to go to school. The sister's 14 years old. The brother's 17, hasn't gone to school since ISIS attacked. I said, do you really think that a foreign country wants ignorant people who can't read and write, who didn't go to school? 14 years old. It's been 7 years. She's never gone to school. And she won't go to school. The parents are dead, so there's no parental. And then there's really no schools to go to. It's hard. But she says she's waiting to get to France and then she'll start. But this is the wrong attitude. So many Yazidis in the tents are sitting down waiting. They're waiting and waiting and waiting. They're going to wait forever. They've been 7 years waiting. You have got to stop waiting. You have to believe. You can work to find a way out, but while you don't find a way out, you have to keep living your life. Work as if this is going to be your life. Go to school, go to university, try to get a job, try to create a business because there's no job, so create a little business, a little print shop selling tomatoes, create a little business to make a little income, and live your life as if this is your life. Stop waiting. When I talked to Yazidis in Shernok camp in September 2014, they'd been there 2 weeks. They were all asking me, when is someone going to come to us and tell us where we're going and when? They thought they were going to rush off to Europe in 2 weeks. I sort of thought maybe they would too. I didn't know how cold the world can be. But I told them, I said, no one's coming to your rescue. And the sooner you can understand that and get it in your head, no one's coming to your rescue, the sooner you will stop waiting. The worst thing Yazidis can do is sit and wait. The most valuable thing a person has in life, well, from my perspective, I don't have children. I guess the most valuable thing is your children. After that, the most valuable thing is time. Time is the most precious commodity you have. You'll look back and say, my God, we had 7 years in a tent. We had nothing but time on our hands. We just had time and time. Did we learn a language? No. Did we finish school? No. Did we build a business? No. We just sat and waited. So you're waiting away your life, and this is a big mistake. Stop waiting for rescue to show up, because it might not, and it probably won't. Keep working for it, but stop waiting. You have to enable yourself. I am the granddaughter of a refugee, and I never thought about it until I worked with the Yazidis. I never thought I'm a refugee's granddaughter. People said, what will happen to our children and our grandchildren if we go to another country? I said, they'll be fine. They'll be fine. Your life, you're never going to fix what happened to you. You're not going to get back what you lost, but you can start something new. But your children who are little, they're going to be okay. And your grandchildren are going to say, Grandma and Granddad came from Iraq. They were Yazidis. Yeah. But what are they going to be? Your children are going to be American. Yeah. They're going to grow up American. You're going to pass on your culture to them, but they will be American. I was an American. My grandmother left Italy at age 19. Economic refugee, got on a boat, sailed to New York, and her brother said, you're going to marry this man, my friend. So, okay, she had to marry him. And she had 5 children, and one was my mother. My grandmother at 19 never saw her mother and father again, never saw Italy again, never saw the beautiful ocean of Salerno, Italy. She lived in an ugly town, Cleveland, Ohio, a steel mill town. And she never stopped talking about Italy all her life. So my mother passed those stories on to me. It wasn't until I was almost 60 years old I began to feel I had roots in Italy. And then when I met the Yazidis, it began to occur to me, but gosh, I am the granddaughter of a refugee. So this is what's going to happen. It takes 1 to 2 generations to recover, and you will recover. I don't relate to an ethnic clan or religion, not even a nationality. I don't even care to say I'm American. I just like to say I'm a human being. I'm not religious. I'm really happy to be a human being and a humanitarian. And that's my advice I give to Yazidis. Be happy to be alive, be a human being, love your children, enjoy your music, enjoy your food, enjoy your dancing. You don't need money to do that. and make use of your time. Stop waiting and wasting your life away.
My other thing is that like we have now a big community like in different countries, like we have in America, in Lincoln, Nebraska, we have like very big community in Germany. And what are some ways that we can grew up like better in those communities and also contribute to our community? I just want to like clear more to our young generation. I know that our young generations are doing like really good. I know like part of the, yeah, they are studying hard. They are trying to show that they can do something to contribute to these communities and also to help their communities. And what are some like better ways that we could give more to our community, because they are like in desperate need in Iraq?
There are ways, I think, that the Yazidi community has to advance into the 21st century, socially and culturally. Sometimes I say to my Yazidi friends, they complain about the Muslim culture. I said, oh, you're Muslim. You converted to Islam and you don't even know. They said, we did not convert. I said, yes, you did. You dress like them. You think like them. You're prejudiced like them. You suppress the women like them. You did. You don't even know that you absorbed the culture that you lived in. Because Yazidis, of course, they live in the Middle East. It's an Islamic culture. So I'll talk about some of the things I think are the worst things about the Yazidi culture, because like all cultures, it has great things and things that need to be improved upon. And the worst thing is that there's no equality for women. So the best thing that Yazidi men can do, fathers, husbands, brothers, is to liberate their sisters and wives and mothers, to treat them equally. And that means an education, and that means getting out the door and working. I have worked all my life. It's brought me great happiness and reward. I can't imagine sitting in a house all my life and doing nothing. Nothing to do but play games on my, little computer games on my phone. No, I love to be creative and have intellectual stimulation, know what's going on in the world. The Yazidis just about a week ago announced that they elected a consul in Europe, in Germany. And they proudly posted all the pictures, and that's great. I'm glad that the Yazidis are trying to organize themselves, and part of their goal was to help restore Shingal, and all of that is worthy. There were about 50 men gathered around in this room. There wasn't a woman in the pictures. So what are they going to do? Are they going to make sure that the dowry price of $2,400 keeps getting paid? Or what are you going to do? You're going to come and attack the family if they don't pay the dowry to marry their daughter off? So these things need to be changed. Yazidi men are still insisting that their wives and sisters, daughters, cannot wear Western dress in Europe. They want them to wear their long Kurdish dress to the floor and cover their arms down to their hands, and a whole set of things that are very oppressive and very conservative to oppress women. The best thing Yazidis can do is stop oppressing women. Start having 50-50 on the consuls, and I would say the way the Kurdish do in Turkey. Everything is 50-50. Every Kurdish town is 2 mayors, a woman and a man. Every consul, everything, 50% women. It's a liberated movement. The YPG movement, YPG and YPJ movement in Syria was a movement of women's liberation. So women themselves and teenage girls themselves, they have to stop thinking of themselves as someone's going to take care of me. I'm going to get married. He's going to come to the rescue, and I won't have to do anything but cook and clean and have babies. Once you start doing that, that is not so exciting. Cooking and cleaning from morning till night and taking care of babies. It's nice to have a family. I think people should have families. But women are smart. When you're born, whether you're born a man or a woman, you have the same level of intellect. And I want to see the young Yazidi women use their intellect. And they are doing it. The younger generation is doing it. I know there's still
I want
most
to tell
Yazidi
you that,
men,
yeah,
they
there is a big
punish the
change.
women if they show their face on Facebook. They can't have internet. They can't have Facebook. They can't talk to people. Who are you talking to? The jealousy is outrageous, outrageous, powerful control and jealousy over women. And as a woman who spent my whole life, 50 years fighting for women's rights in America, because I grew up, we didn't have rights either.
Yeah.
Terrible discrimination when I grew up. Women have to fight for their own rights. And if men want things to get better, then men have to fight with them, side by side with the women. That's the number one thing they should do. And stop. I was very proud when I was in Germany. It's got to be 4 or 5 years ago now. I met in a house with a group of men gathered. They were all men, and they were talking about organizing, getting organized. And I said, but where are the women? They said, oh, the women, we'll have women with us too, but they'll come later. But one man that made me very proud, he said, my daughter will never be sold for a dowry. She can marry who she wants, and I refuse to take a dowry. My daughter is not for sale.
Yeah.
I know that most people disagree with me. Stop living with the concept of shame. I don't mind doing it. I could let my daughter do it, but the neighbors will say, what a shame, what a shame. You let your daughter get a job. What a shame for the man. So this concept of Yazidis shaming each other, this is another thing that should stop. Just never use the word shame again. I could go on with a longer list, but those are the two main things.
Yeah, I totally agree with you that there should be an equality between men and women. But there's one thing like we should not forget, like Yazidis, they just grow up as a small community surrounded by like a majority of Muslims. Like I remember like my sisters or my mother, if they go to like hospital in Mosul city, they would have to wear that scarf on their head. They will have to follow the impact of the culture on them, like
Yes.
the way they were wearing clothes, the way that they were wearing, they all have to go to school, they will not have to go to school. I know that we were having that so much impact or from the surrounded community. Like I haven't seen anything like in I'm not religious, I don't read, but I don't see anything in Yazidi religion of saying that women cannot go to work, women cannot go to school, women cannot have independent life, women have to wear the scarf. And Yazidi community, like in these foreign countries, like I see that the young generation, like my age, the women and men, they're mostly like they're equal. I have seen like in America they're equal, except like for some people who were like older and they moved here, they just like they became 40 or 50. It's hard for them to learn language, it's hard for them to work, to find the ways like to change her life, like because they are already like over 40 or so this is so hard for to change their life. So I agree with you that there should be equality like between men and women, and that's like our goal also as a young generation. And I see a big change, big movement like in the Yazidi communities, because Yazidi community is not that hard to adapt, to adjust, to learn in a positive way. Like I don't mean like that I want the Yazidis to change everything, to lose their identity, to lose their culture, to forget their like celebration, their like their holidays. Like I'm with that we keep our identity and also change for better. So I would like to end up this with what else you'd like for the Yazidis community, for the supporters of the Yazidis community, like your message to them to help the Yazidi community, because I want to use this show as a way to approach everybody, the Yazidis and non-Yazidis, in order to come together as a community and our supporter to like a better future for Yazidis.
I would say to especially the young people, be the change you want. So many young people say, I do it, I don't mind doing it, but my friends would speak badly about me. So, the neighbors, my father, my mother, and they said, when things change in the future, I said, but nothing's going to change in the future until you change it. So you have to be the change you want. If women want equality, then women have to start acting like they're equal. Stop being ashamed to show their face, to speak up, to go out, to get educated, to get a job. Don't be ashamed of that, and don't let yourself be suppressed by other people. Be the change you want. The other thing is, people ask me, where do I live? I'm a little bit like a refugee myself. I'm not sure where I live from day to day. I've left the US 32 years ago, and I don't live there. I live in an island called Barbados in the Caribbean. I spend my winters there, but it's getting to be shorter and shorter, but that's my legal residence. I went to Italy to see if I could stay there because my grandmother was from there, and to reestablish my roots. And I got a 90-day visa and they wouldn't let me stay, so I had to leave. I am sitting in a little room. I bought it 9 years ago. I built it, actually. It's 27 square meters, and it's my apartment. So they say Americans can have a 1-year visa, but I don't want to go back and live in the US. I'm happy that you live there because it's given you a great start. So I'm not sure where I live, but I can live anywhere. Here's my point. I know that I can live anywhere. Where is my office? This is my office. The computer that I'm looking into, this is my office. I can pick it up, put it in my backpack, take my passport, my documents, and leave. Psychologically, where you live, it's psychological.
Yeah.
Yes, you do have to have a livelihood, but I could live in Sinjar. It's no problem. I've lived in Sinjar for 3 years in the most miserable conditions. I think people who have been following me know that I lived in one room that was burned. I scraped it off and painted it, ran a wire, so I'd have a light bulb and a plug, and I had a mat on the floor, and that's how I lived. And I bathed for 5 years out of a bucket. That's why I cut my hair short. And it doesn't bother me. Psychologically, this doesn't bother me. Wherever you go, there you are. You're still you. You can still think, you can still be creative, you can still, through social media and the internet, talk to the people you love on the other side of the world, like you talk to your mom every single day and you see her. You can still do those things. Yeah. So you have to start living where you are, living a little bit more in the moment. Work for the future, but live for today. Live for today, plan for tomorrow, and stop waiting. And be happy. Be happy with the love of your friends and family, with the air that you breathe, that you can walk. Make use of your time to be creative and build, to learn, to build, to be creative. And you can do that anywhere. I actually think often of going back to Iraq to live in Iraq myself. I said, of all the places I've lived, where did I enjoy it the most? And if you want to know the truth, I enjoyed living in Sinjar, in that burnt out house. I loved my friends. I was active. I was doing things. My life was full of meaning. Now, there's one thing that makes me different from Yazidis, and they're all sitting there saying, yeah, it's easy for her to say. Mm-hmm. She's got a U.S. passport. Yes, indeed, I do. And I'm retired, so I get a monthly pension every month in my bank account. I'm a little anxious every month at the first of the month to make sure it's going to be in the bank account, because the day that the U.S. government turns off the tap and I don't have it, then I've got a problem too. I am sitting in an apartment that it's one room, but it's mine and I own it. So I have a lot of security that the Yazidis in the tents don't have. And that's what differentiates me, my pension and my passport. Yeah. in this room I'm sitting in. Yazidis just need to get to that point, and this is what they need: help. They need friends to help them. They don't want charity. They don't want welfare. They just want to support themselves.
Some freedom.
They really need foreign friends to reach out and help them. And when I say help, you can start a little shop. If you've got $2,000 or $4,000, you can get a shop to rent the size of the room for a year. You can spend $2,000 on equipping it, whether it's a hardware store, a paint store, a shoe store.
Candies.
And you can get in business, and maybe you can make $200 a month. At least you can feed your family.
Yeah.
So slowly you can begin. So foreigners who want to help a family or a person, not everyone, might invest in a person to start their livelihood. Maybe they need seeds to plant their wheat. If they plant the wheat, they can make $4,000 in the season and they can get back on their feet. This is what I say to people who really want to help: find a person or a family and help them with a little livelihood, a little bit of money, to get seed money to get started.
Thank you so much, Dr. Amy Bean, for your time, for all that you're doing for the Yazidis. And I would say that you could purchase
Amazon.com.
Yeah, and I would like also if you could just have 1 minute to tell the listeners about like your plans for this book. I know that you are trying to get it like
Right.
another languages, and your plans on your book, and it's available on Amazon.
The last Yazidi genocide is the result of all those interviews and all those people I helped getting their passports, and more stories. It's 400 pages in Arabic. It has been translated to Arabic, and right now we're going through the final read and edit to make sure it's printed well. I don't want a bad translation. And then that will be first an ebook. I'll load it up. I really hope I can get it by August 3rd as an ebook. But if not, it's going to be soon. And then I will get it approved in Baghdad. It has to be approved by the Minister of Culture and assigned a registration number so it can be printed in Iraq and distributed. I've got a publisher in mind to publish it for the Middle East. Right now it's only in English. I'm working on an English ebook version that will have lots and lots of photographs. So it'll be like a multimedia thing, and it's taken me a lot longer than I wanted. And to accompany that, I will work this year and next year on a website that organizes the thousands, maybe I have 250,000 photos and videos of the last 7 years of the genocide in Yazidis. I will organize that in a website by category. So I want to save it for history. This is what I want to do: institutionalize this to live beyond me.
And that's phenomenal. And we as a Yazidis, we thank you, and we are so grateful for all the work and for the book, to have it as a documentation for the Yazidi genocide. And thank you so much for your time to be on Dawood Show.
I want to say one more thing.
Okay.
When I think about the happiness in my life, because I ride life like the wave goes up, ride it well, but lasts, and down it goes, and up you go again. That's life. The happiest I ever was in my life was when I was in Sinjar in the most terrible conditions, because I was helping people and I knew that for the first time in my life, what I was doing was important. I spent a life teaching, that was important, in my 20s, and a life developing software, project management. Writing code, it does not light the world on fire, but I made good money doing it. The only time I've been like truly, deeply, passionately happy with what I was doing was when I was doing this humanitarian work, and I'm still doing it. And I have made the most incredible network of friends, Yazidis and non-Yazidis, all around the world. It has really transformed my life. And I want to encourage other people who are retired, who have extra time, people are at home, or vets, to take up humanitarian work, even if it's not for Yazidis, because it is deeply rewarding. And this world needs an entire new ethic where everybody thinks it's part of their responsibility.
Thank you so much for your message and for your time.